How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Boylite Hobby Time. To finish off this Mandalorian Season 2 project, decided it would be fitting to include the Mandalorian himself in the cool moment where he takes out one of the Dark Troopers with his spear. They do not have any 1 to 12 scale Dark Troopers at the moment, so I decided to repurpose a Death Trooper and print some extra parts. It was surprisingly difficult to get a hold of a Mandalorian figure in 1 to 12 scale, so I ended up customizing this Boba Fett instead. Had to change the jetpack to give him a new helmet and new armor, but he was the perfect scale, so it worked out. On this model, the forearms and the vembraces are the same thing, so in order to attach my new vembraces, I used some Milliput to sculpt some new forearms. For Mando's spear, I used a section of sprue that I sanded down to a nice smooth finish. I then shaved down the end to be able to attach the blades. For the spearhead, I used some 020 styrene, cut that into a little wedge. Kept getting it down to the shape that I wanted. Then I split that in half and sanded down either side to make sure it was a little bit more blade-like before gluing it to the sprue. Then took one of the closed fists from the Boba Fett model and I drilled a pilot hole. I used the Dremel to make the perfect size hole for him to be able to grip the spear. I also used the Dremel to shave off the unnecessary pockets. I didn't worry about patching those in because they will be covered by armor. For Mando's new armor, I bought a full set from Galactic Armory. I will link that in the description. Once I had printed those, I painted them all with a silver spray paint. For the Dark Trooper helmet, I found a file from Nikko Industries, which I bought, and I will link him in the description as well. Once everything was primed, it was time to start airbrushing. For Mando's coveralls, I used a mix of Oxford Blue and Black 3.0. The Black 3.0 has a nice matte finish to it, so it has almost no reflective value, making it look very much like fabric. After I had completed all the airbrushing, it was time to go through with the brush and add some of these smaller details. I also, off camera, went over all of the armor pieces with some Citadel Iron Hand steel. This helped bring the tone of the armor down a little bit, which helped because the silver by itself was just a little too bright. When the painting was done, it was time to put on his armor. I made sure to preserve all the articulation and not get any glue on his joints. To make his cape, I used a piece of an old black t-shirt, and I cut out a hole for the jetpack mount. It's interesting because Mando has the same knee rockets as Boba Fett, so my question is, why has he never used them? And if he had them, why did he not use them against Moff Gideon? Leave a comment if you think you know why. Once Mando was done, it was time to move on to customizing the Dark Trooper. I had some leftover K2SO fingers from a previous build, so I swapped those out with the existing fingers, which helped this look a little bit more robotic. I also added some red cellophane behind the eyes of this Dark Trooper helmet, and I'm going to put a light inside so that the eyes glow just like in the show. I added some little wires and rods on the side of the neck to make it also look a little more robotic, and then I drilled a pathway for the wires to go down through the base. I used some milliput to hold the LED inside the helmet, made sure that was working, got it all soldered up, and it was time to move on to the base. The base on this one is very simple. I just used some 040 styrene that I cut to shape. I put that in an old picture frame, drilled a hole for the wiring, and I painted it glossy black. When Mando stabs the Dark Trooper in the show, a bunch of sparks fly out, so I used some steel wool to mimic that. I glued the figures in place, being careful not to bend anything. And the last thing to do was to add the big boxy shoulders on this Dark Trooper. And the figures were complete. Finished up soldering the electronics to a USB power source, and I called it good. That is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. It is also the end of my Mandalorian Season 2 project. These week-by-week videos have been a lot of work, but they've been a lot of fun as well. I look forward to doing more like it in the future. And if there was a moment that you didn't see me do that you would really like, don't worry, I will be doing more content from the season, just not at this pace. Have a great week, everyone. I will see you next time.